Hello. Welcome, everyone. We are very, very honored to have all of you today for this session about shaping the future, a dialogue on beneficial AI for children, starting with principles. I am Mathilde Cerioli, the Executive Director of Everyone.AI and the co-lead of this amazing coalition, iRAISE, which stands for International Research-Driven Alliance for AI Serving Every Child. We launched this coalition at the AI Action Summit in Paris last February. We are co-leading with Panelists Forum and also the Everyone.AI team, which we are based in Silicon Valley, and Panelists Forum, as you know, is based in France. This is a multi-stakeholder approach. This is very important for us that all stakeholders are represented. So for now, so far, we have 12 governments, big tech companies, and also AI companies, with, for example, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Anthropomorphic, and also Orange, and more. We have 15 labs from universities, including Stanford, Berkeley, Harvard, CNRS, La Sorbonne, and more in different continents. 40+ NGOs are also part of the conversations, and we have very important conversation with AI experts, but also children development experts. Also, UNESCO, UNICEF, and United Nations are part of the conversation. Thank you, everyone, to be here today. This is a transdisciplinary work, science-based. We really want to use the research already available to anticipate the impact of AI on cognitive and socio-emotional development. This is a global effort. Even if most of the AI is developed in Silicon Valley, it's used everywhere, all over the world, and we really have to think locally to make sure that we are using the benefits and also anticipating the risk for every region. Our actions are 3 pillars. First is research. So Mathilde will talk more about our first iRAISE labs that happened a few weeks ago, and also we are doing research reports. The second pillar is shape standards and policy. We want to work with government and also international organizations to anticipate and improve regulation on those topics. Third pillar is collaboration and awareness, building bridges between companies and researchers, but also giving a voice and highlighting the work from the NGOs and researchers. As part of our awareness work, we are very glad to be here with you today. And now, to start this session, I'm very honored to introduce Clara Chapaz, the former Minister Delegate of AI and Digital Affairs in France.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for organizing this roundtable during this 10th anniversary of the Paris Peace Forum. I think it's very exciting to see that so many people are gathered to talk about AI and children. When we first met a bit more than a year ago now, you were probably like one of the most, the team that was the most active on the topic, and I'm really amazed how much you've managed to engage in just I don't know, just like a year. Getting all the people and players involved has been really impressive to follow, and so thank you for hosting this session. I think we are facing a very unique time. Yesterday, the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, hosted a discussion with scientists, civil society, but also companies, talking about the impact of social network on youth development, but also on our democracy. And this is how you're approaching it, but we're facing similar challenges with AI, especially with chatbot developments and kids. But we have a unique opportunity not to wait 15 years to kind of understand what's going to be the impact on those tools on our kids, but take the problem where it arises and when it arises, meaning now. And the fact that we're all gathered to try and assess what the impact of those tools, and most importantly, how we can set standards and help shape them in a way that is only going to be beneficial for kids and not the drawdowns that we've seen with social networks as a way of comparison, I think is a very, very important word. It's probably actually the most important work we can do when we all come together in a room, when we're thinking about the future of the planet and the future of our people, our children. So there's a lot to be done. Obviously, every time I'm talking with scientists, they're saying they don't have the same amount of data that we have when we look at the impact of social network or other tools that have been developed for a longer time. And obviously, because of the speed at which those tools are developing, we're facing very big challenges. But the fact fact that we're all gathered to try and find joint approach between the players themselves, the nations, the NGOs that you're representing is, I think, a very strong signal that we're here to solve the problem and look at it in the eyes and try and address it so that we can make those tools the best for the kids. So thanks for all the engagement. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Clara. So we're talking about youth, about public under 25 who represent a specifically vulnerable population, because the changes in their environment will really reshape the way they learn. And so we need to make sure that the tools we provide them are really there to support them. But we cannot have those conversations with youth in the room. We need to build and co-design all together, and that includes them. They're the first one to know what they need. So I'm so happy to have Ludwig Charlaté talk with us and represent youth advocate today. He has an international profile. He's been leading partnership for us for the past 2 years and co-designing AI literacy program for youth. So Ludwig.
Dear all, 40% of the population is under 25 years old. I'm one of them, and I'm truly honored to represent us today. So I'd like to start by saying how grateful I am to be born in the 21st century. Because I have AI, I can use it to learn faster, learn more, but I truly feel that way thanks to the push to use AI the right way. And that push has been even stronger for me because I worked with the experts, Everyone.AI, for the past 2 years. But even with that push, I sometimes feel I use it the wrong way. And lately, I've noticed that for every email, every messages I sent, not only for work, but also to my friends, to my family, I used AI and I relied on it 100%. At the beginning, it saved times, but in the end, it was just easier. And I said things that I would have never said otherwise, and I regret it sometimes. And under 25 years old, we absolutely all do it. I do it, my roommates do it, my little siblings and my 10-year-old cousins, we all do it because it's easier not to think sometimes. So my point is, AI can improve our critical thinking. And if it does, it will be the best tool we've ever created to help a full generation reach our full potential. So, dear researchers, politicians, product designers, and NGOs, we count on you to help us and design an AI for us and with us. Thank you.
You're a tough act to follow. So today for that session, I have 3 objectives for us. First, we want to hear your perspective. Where do you see beneficial AI application for children? But also, what risk are you concerned that we should mitigate against? Then I'm really excited to share the first preliminary result of the iRAISE labs that were held in Silicon Valley only a couple of weeks ago, so it's still very fresh. The iRAISE labs really gathered together industry. We were lucky to have OpenAI, Google, Microsoft. I'm going to forget some. Anthropomorphic, Apple, that were there. And to also have many researchers, leader on the topic, come together with NGOs so that we can work together how to best build that technology for young kids. And then I want to hear from you, how do we translate the knowledge that's being built into industry standards, into policies, into guidelines for the larger public. So first, I'll start by giving us some context about the main results of the iRAISE labs. So ahead of the labs, a lot of work went into it. So I started doing consultation with industry to really define the priorities, see what is the topic they're concerned with. And basically what really came out of that was that adolescents right now and emotional over-reliance should be a priority because it's a very tough topic to tackle. And then I also consulted with over 20 world-leading experts in child development, neuroscience, clinicians, and AI experts. Our goal was to really have their opinion and see how we orient that conversation. Across the board, they all identified adolescence as being a very specific time in brain development, where young people are really sensitive to social cues, and also to the reward system. So in this way, AI that sounds really human is specifically attractive to them, which comes with potential benefits to it, but also important risk in how that rewires their way of socializing. We also worked on identifying what things make AI feel human. And so we identified 3 main categories of behavior. The first one was anthropomorphic cues. So anthropomorphic cues is basically everything that make AI sound human. So with things like pretending or implying to have emotions, to have physical sensations. So like AI saying things like, I am sad, or, oh, this really gave me a headache to think about. Those kind of words increase the likelihood of feeling that AI is more human. The second type behavior was relational cues. So when AI implies having a relationship with the users, which can really range from, I am your friend, we've been talking for a while, to things, I am the only one for you, you can count on me all the time. Those things really increase the likelihood of forming a relationship with AI. And the last one was really trying to better understand the continuum we see between psychophancy, so when AI is super flattering, tells us what we want to hear, validate our feelings, and pushing for more self-reflection and critical thinking. So on one end of the spectrum, you could have something like, oh, I couldn't have said it better, you're so smart, to interesting opinion, have you considered other point of view? So we see that there is a trade-off here. So that was all done ahead of the iRAISE lab. And during that, what we did is have experts share what they learned and that framework they came up with, and then really discuss and build with industry leaders. So some of the main conclusions that we saw and where we reached a large agreement around all stakeholders was that model behaviors do influence whether or not an interaction is going to be beneficial or not. So it's not just about the content being shared, but how is that content shared? What is the type of interaction? Then the second thing that really came in all conversation is how much the context matters. So the type of engagement, the type of behaviors we see will have different impacts if we are in a more tutoring type of relationship or if we are actually looking for some light emotional support, or if we're in a very highly sensitive topics and emotional distress. So now if we go into more specific for all 3 types of behaviors, what we saw is that all stakeholders identify relational cues as being the riskiest with the lowest benefits that come with it. So when AI pretends to have a relationship with users. And as such, because we got such a strong consensus, it has a high impact. That should become one of the priorities to address within the industry. Then the second type of behavior, so the anthropomorphic cues, everything that makes AI feel human, when we had very high level of behavior, so when AI really has a lot of cues about being human, that was mostly seen as high risk and unacceptable. But then when it came to what is the optimal level, what we saw is context will matter greatly. And so for that, we need more research. We don't have enough quite data there. And that will be one of the priorities we want to address. And that's also a conversation and a question I will have for researchers. How do we do that job? And then when it comes to psychophancy, well, first, we've heard about this more in the conversation of how that impacts users. We still need more work, especially when it comes to getting into the continuum between psychophancy and pushing for critical thinking. We often talk about the fact that AI can threaten critical thinking. That's one of the main concerns that we hear in education. And at the same time, it could actually be a great tool to do that. But the way to do it will require more work from industry as well as researchers. So this is some of the main information we saw from the lab. And now I really want to open the question to some of our great speakers that we have today, and then to the larger room in general. So I will start with you, Lauren. So Lauren is the head of youth at OpenAI. So you've been part of the iRAISE coalition from the start. You've been actually a great support in helping us understand what are your needs, realizing that I think the need for collaboration. So I would love you say it so much better than me, to share how you see how we should collaborate together. And the second question I have for you is, in the near short term, what are the model behaviors that are the easiest to adjust? And where do you see the potential trade-offs?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be here. So the first, yes, we've been collaborating very closely. What we have reiterated, again, and have enjoyed collaborating with Everyone.AI on, and a multitude of researchers, is the need for speed, not to rhyme, but the goal is understanding as quickly as we can. Our goal in the product that we develop and putting our product in the hands of teenagers is to do it safely. We think about trade-offs when we think about our product, privacy, freedom, safety when it comes to teens. And we've said this publicly, that for teens, safety is the #1 priority, but we have to make these decisions quickly. We're building these products, and there is adoption among teens quite quickly, and we want to do this safely, and we want to do this right. And as we've similarly announced, we've launched a well-being council, and we're eager and hungry to continue to partner with research and to partner with other industry members to do this in the best way that we can. And that is my emphasis, is doing this together, doing this with as much data and research and information as we possibly can, as quickly as possible, the priority always being safety for teens.
Great. Thank you so much, Lauren. Now I will turn on to you, Chloe Setter from Google, who is the leading child safety public policy there. So I had the chance to talk to some of your researchers at Google, including Jennifer Kotler, who has been really key in identifying what are the priorities, and also I think because she has that double hat of being both industry and research, understanding how we can best collaborate together. And so Google has had the opportunity to work and think about safety in products for children for a while now. It's not the first technological revolution you are facing, where you have to make decisions that feel safe for children. So my question is, what have you learned from working with researchers, working with multi-stakeholders? What are the lessons you can share on how to best develop safe products, and how does this influence your efforts and the way you approach generative AI, in particularly with adolescents?
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me here. It's a real pleasure, and to be amongst so many experts in this space. I think collaboration is the key with this work. No single company can sort of solve these societal challenges on their own, so we're very grateful for the partnership that Everyone.AI is putting forward here. And for the very impressive mandate from the young person in the room. Not the only young person, I'm sure. Don't want to disrespect anybody here. But yeah, so at Google we have, as you say, decades of experience of building with kids in mind and designing for kids. And so we've tried to always make sure we've taken that learning and knowledge from all those years and built that into our AI products. And safety has always been top of mind with that for young people. We have a specialized experience for under 18s and product safeguards and content safeguards that have been built in from the start with that. We also think parents play a role here. So if your account is linked to Family Link, which is our parental tool, and parents can turn off Gemini, which is our model. So that's one kind of example. But we've been doing a lot of thinking internally and working with external experts, because as I said, we can't do this on our own, and we want to make sure that everything is backed by evidence and research, because Lauren mentioned that this is a space that's moving quickly, but that doesn't mean we can sit back. It doesn't mean we can accept that we've done a good job. We always have to be continuously testing. And so red teaming is a very important part of that work. We have a kind of continuously on safety approach where just because we've built these safeguards out from the start and we're confident in them doesn't mean that we don't think they'll make mistakes. So it's about trying to consistently iterate that. Yeah. I can speak more to specific examples of product safeguards, if you like, but I don't want to take too much time.
I'm sure we'll come back to you. And I think, what you said just perfectly segues to my next question for Laurence Devillers. So she's a professor in AI at Sorbonne and CNRS. And what we're seeing is that, as they mentioned, the technology and the adoption is spreading really fast, faster than any adoption before for any innovation. And yes, we don't have that much data yet on its direct impact on kids and how they interact. Yet, we know a lot about child development and human functioning and how human interacts together. So, from your point of view, Laurence, what is the responsibility researchers have when it comes to guiding, advising product teams as they design tools when they don't have the evidence yet?
It's difficult to answer about responsibility of researchers, because there are researchers in every big tech also. So the design of the tools are finally decided by big tech themselves. So what I can say, it's currently, Amara's laws reminds us that we often overestimate AI's short-term impact, underestimate its long-term effects. And widespread AI use pose neurological, psychological, and philosophical risk, notably for young children, including cognitive atrophy and reduced brain plasticity. And there's a lot of paper about that. So, for example, researchers at the MIT conduct a 4-month study with 54 participants asked to write essays under 3 conditions: unaided, using the internet, or using ChatGPT. Neural activity was monitored by EEG. So I think it's very important to have this kind of test. And preliminary results suggest that both internet use and ChatGPT significantly reduce cognitive engagement and relevant cognitive load. So the mental effort required to transform information into knowledge. So as memory, concentration, analytical skills weaken our overall cognitive processes are at risk of deterioration. So I think that we must push this kind of information, and the parents also must be aware about this research. So my research at the CNRS has focused on detecting emotions from speech and multimodal silence applied to chatbot and social robots, and we have done data collection in interaction with children. So I think that we must do this kind of things in a large area, in a large with a large topic, because we don't know a lot of things. So further research is needed to understand how AI interacts with children, their ability to converse, negotiate, influence, express emotions, and appear as friends, as you mentioned, as well as the effect of this interaction on children's autonomy and critical thinking. So we can build some protocol to try to measure this kind of effect. And we already have some research results, but we need more things. So it's very meaningful to do in this area. And this research is very urgent, especially as AI tools like ChatGPT could soon be embedded in toys, such as doll or teddy bears. So collaboration with big tech will be very appreciated to know more about the impact of this kind of technology.
Yes, thank you. And to that, I think the way we are trying to work within the iRAISE lab is also to design a framework of behaviors where we can rate what type of behaviors, because there's a difficulty right now in research where sometimes we will have contradictory conclusions to research, but it's because we're not testing quite the same type of interaction. So having a clearer framework of what type of behaviors, what level of anthropomorphism and relational cues will help us have clearer conclusions. So, well, actually, when it comes to really, we've mentioned a few times, for instance, parents and more public policy facing issues. And so I want to turn to you now, Heracli Berit. I hope I did not butcher your name. So you're the head of the Center for AI and Robotics for the United Nations. In what way and how can the UN amplify some of the work that's being done, the action industry is taking, the research findings, and how can we translate that into public policy facing guidance and practices across member states of the UN?
Mathilde, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for inviting, and we're very proud to be the iRAISE Alliance and contributing into that as well. Now, it's an extremely important topic and extremely important question you've just asked, how to ensure that principles what we develop, ideas what we develop are translated into real policy. And my part of the UN, I've been heading the center for the last 10 years. We've been one of the pioneering initiative within the United Nations 10 years ago when not much was done at the UN on the AI side of the things. And we built step by step many different programs, research, capacity building, trainings as well, and learned and understood how to ensure that the ideas and principles can be translated into policy. It's not very easy road. UN has been adopting many AI principles across the board as well within different organizations, but then ensuring that these are being adopted is a kind of a tricky way. From our side, there are numerous initiatives where we've done where we kind of pushing those boundaries to translate these principles into action. For example, we work in very sensitive areas like the law enforcement and artificial intelligence and how to ensure that law enforcement uses AI in a responsible and human rights compliant manner. Now, in that sense, for last 6 years, we've developed a specialized toolkit for the responsible use of AI by law enforcement, and step by step now are adopting them into the country, so translating into the standard operational procedures. So that was built on the multi-stakeholder private-public partnerships type of models as well. UN cannot do it alone. It has to do it through the partnerships with other organizations, whether it's a private sector, academia, civil society, and others as well. Now, moving to the children's side, for last 2 years, we've been working through different partnerships with the partnership provided by Disney World Services and contribution of the OECD, UNICEF, Harvard University, and OpenAI, and we're very happy to have OpenAI contributing to the parent guide which we've created on how to ensure that generative AI tools are used in a responsible and right way. How to ensure that parents understand the way children are using generative AI. Our research shows that a lot of children obviously are using generative AI, and not a lot of parents are, and having understanding of that. That parent guide, which we've actually issued, went viral, and I post a lot on social media, and that particular post, when I attached the parent guide, received more likes and more scenes than basically most of my posting combined. What it means is that people really do need that type of guidance. Parents need that guidance, children need that guidance, and educators need that guidance. Now, how UN can help to bring that in a scalable, practical way? Because we can talk a lot about it, but if it's not translated into policy, if it's not translated into practice, we will be putting on the shelves. Now, UN still has quite a powerful convening power. We still have connection with 194 countries, and we still ensure that countries can practically adopt that if it's done through the practical projects. So the way we do it is that we work directly with governments, and through the projects, ensure and making sure that they are adopted into the policies. The power of working together into with the private-public partnerships and contribution of the private sector, like OpenAI here in that sense, could really enhance these activities. And we are very open to build on the parent guide, to to bring it to the countries on country-scale projects. Now, last week I was in one of the countries I'm not going to mention, and I had a coffee with the Minister of Education of that country, and I was quite struck and surprised to hear that the person never used generative AI, and him and his team is designing policies on future of education, right? I mean, it's a scary concept. I tell you even more, 50% of the world, 50% of the countries in the world don't have any digital or AI strategies adopted at all. And these are the countries who are actually putting policies for the future of generations, right? So the issue is very urgent. The conversation is very urgent. But to me, what is very urgent is to design practical projects, how to ensure that we penetrate into the systems of the countries, into the education systems. Because when 50% of the countries don't even think that it is worth of adopting AI or digital strategies, or the ministers of the countries of education never use generative AI tools at all, that's a reality where we're living, and that's an urgency which I would like to point out today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we really want to work and collaborate with you, and I can't wait to actually have all the research and the work that's being done in the lab be translated at larger scale, because, as you mentioned, adoption is going fast, and we need to also think about how those policies are designed in education, by also taking into account different geographical location, and make sure that we answer in a way that is global, and that works for everyone, but also to address more specificities depending on where we are in the world. So now I want to turn to Eric Salvier, who's the chairman for the Committee of Human Technology Foundation. So as we're about to open the floor, which broad human values should orient this work in a way that travels across cultures, institutions, but not just for the next 5 years, but for humanity's future?
Good morning, everybody. Very happy to be here. Thanks a lot for having me. Perhaps my contribution today will be a little bit less practical than the others, even if our foundation works a lot in policy design. But yeah, before talking about human values, I think we should focus on humans, because after all, children are human too. And currently, the technology evolves each 3 months, more or less. And the human being evolves each 300,000 years. I mean, the Homo sapiens was at that time, and sapiens emerged 100,000 years ago, but it was a minor update of our species. So I think that too often we focus about humans as users, and so we see things from the point of view of sociology, which is, to my mind, not the right level. We need to go much deeper. People who are working on dark patterns, for example, use the biases from our species, which are deeply rooted in our anthropology, the anthropological invariance. And that's what we have to include in our reflection if we really want to be at the right level. Just to take one point, anthropomorphization. Obviously, there are ways to improve that or foster the anthropomorphization or reduce it. But we as humans, we anthropomorphize everything. I mean, who in this room has not talked to his teddy bear or her teddy bear when you were a kid? I mean, that's what we do all the time, and we do also that with the machine, especially when the machine speaks. I mean, even if the machine says, I'm not a human, just saying I is already too much. Just saying is already too much. We anthropomorphize. So we cannot remove those LLMs. I mean, they can be extremely valuable, so we need to integrate those technologies, but we also need to take into consideration not only a deep understanding of the technology, this deep understanding of our society, but also of the human being and the way we behave, because this way we behave will not change within thousands and thousands of years. So that's my first point. The second one is, if we want something to be like a charter, and I would say universal charter that could stay for long, we should be less, I would say, Western central and let's be more global. Very often, I mean, the Western world focuses a lot on autonomy. Asia values social cohesion. The global South, if there's a global South, values a lot justice and development. We need all those voices to be heard. Otherwise, we will have something which will be extremely polarized. And to my mind, I mean, that's a matter of fact. Most of the tech companies are in the Western world and China. And we need to be sure that the reflection we have encompasses the voices of all the children all around the world. So for me, this is absolutely key if we want to have a technology that really fosters autonomy, freedom, and human agency. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think we've just found our new spokesperson at Everyone.AI. Thank you so much. So I wanted to, I'm sorry, I'm going to tag you, Marie-Ève. It's because she was part of the consultation I did with experts, and I really loved your way of framing how much that no matter what decisions we need to make when it comes to AI in children, what should remain the first value of alignment remains children's rights. And so you brilliantly answered that question to me a couple of months ago, and I would love for you to share some of that, which is really when AI passes as human, acts as a human, what are the children's rights that are at stake? Tough question.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you so much, Mathilde, and very good point. I'll be building on that. Maybe just before an introduction for those who are not familiar with Five Rights Foundation. So we are an organization working for children's rights in the digital environment, and we've been working in that space for a number of years, I think almost a decade, across online safety, data protection, and privacy, and now increasingly touching AI issues. And just we've been thinking a little bit about how to design AI for children in our Children and AI Design Code as we work, for instance, on the AI Act here at the European level. And indeed, about making the transition from human values and human rights. We work from a children's rights perspective. It is the Convention on the Rights of the Child has been ratified by almost every country on this planet except the United States, where, of course, a lot of this technology is designed and developed. And if we're thinking about AI impact or technological impact on children's rights, one of the first considerations is often children's best interest. That is often at stake and often comes in opposition when we're thinking about the commercial values and values for profit. The children's best interest is often not the primary consideration. Then, of course, as it was already mentioned by a number of people before, there's, of course, this agency that is covered in a number of rights, but also freedom of thought, how AI is having an increasingly impact on how children are thinking, how they have access to information as well, and finally, also on privacy and data protection, I think it's something you covered as well in your background paper. How is this interaction with children protecting children's privacy or not? So yeah, I think just a few thoughts about the importance as well of considering children's rights and in this discussion.
Thank you. And I promise I'm going to open to everyone. I just want to tag one last person, Cécile Attel, who's here with us and who represents UNICEF. I think it's a logical segue to you when it comes to children's rights. So what are the lessons in a way that you've learned from working on over-technical, logical innovation, what applies there, and also what's different about AI when you think about those questions?
Thank you very much. Really good morning, everyone, and delighted to be here. Thank you very much to Everyone.AI and to give me the floor on this. As UNICEF, we're obviously very concerned with child rights. Thank you, Maria, for underlining that. And we do see that there's a number of issues that are coming up in terms of child rights and the impact of beneficial AI on child rights. So if I were to sum up what we would want to see, it's the use of AI that really is optimized to support children. And one area where we see a lot of possibilities is around learning. I mean, obviously, AI can individualize learning and therefore ensure that children have a better support in their learning. But we also, and as importantly, if not even more importantly, want to make sure that children are completely protected when they interact with AI. And real protection means that they are not facing danger for their physical health, danger for their mental health, emotional health. And there's a lot of issues there, including AI being used in its worst form to even impersonate children and create, in fact, false, in fact, children, and those really images circulating on children, including in the worst possible, facing the worst possible abuse, including sexual abuse. So we really are speaking of a technology that can offer the best and does offer the best, but also has inherent risks. And so the question is that how do we do both? How do we optimize the best while at the same time completely protecting children? And we do believe that the Convention on the Rights of the Child provide that guidelines. Maybe I just want to add 2 points. One is that this really has to be not only for children, but with children. And that's so important that we have that. And I was just looking at some of the studies that we've done recently, because frankly, we don't know that much about how children use AI. We really don't know, in almost any country, we know children use AI, but we don't know for how long, where, for which purpose. So it's extremely interesting that we find out more. There's blatant gap in terms of our understanding. But even from the studies that we have so far, conducted in Brazil, I'll just give you a little snapshot of what we found out. So in children aged between 10 and 13, not in Brazil, I'll take the Sierra Leone example, I think it's better. A child in Sierra Leone said, when you are using ChatGPT, sorry, I mean, that's just, he meant AI, but when we are using, you can tell it confidential information and it won't tell anyone at all. That was what we heard from a child. In Brazil, there was an older child who was concerned about learning. He said, you take your assignment, throw it in the chat creates your writing, but did you learn to write? Did you learn anything? Did you learn to make sense? And I think these are very powerful issues because they really confront us with the fact that, yes, children are using, they also have their own interrogation and we need to work with them. And my last point is that I'm so happy that Everyone.AI is convening this and calling it a dialogue, because clearly that's what we need. I mean, no one of us coming from different sectors and approach have the answer. We're all facing something that is not only important, but very urgent. So having this dialogue and discussions is really important. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I agree. And I think having all of those different points of view when it comes to roles, to who we are as individuals, about our own sensitivities, about where we stand in the world, really matters. And we all have a different prism on the issue, and that we need to bring all of this to have a more global picture on how to best deal with both the opportunities and challenges we see. So I'm aware we have 17 minutes left, and it's not a lot of time to hear from all the amazing people that are here in this room. We are very honored to have all of you. So please, we welcome your comments, ways of working with you, what stood out to you, what's still missing in this conversation. Hi, Andrew.
Hi. Thank you. This one. Thank you, Everyone.AI, iRAISE, for convening this group. My name is Andrew Sarrazin at Oxford, and I run an incubator think tank focused on global challenges, in this case, the challenge of navigation of new technologies with children. And over the past few months, have been convening a seminar on standards of evidence related to technology use, AI use, and child outcomes. I think you asked initially about benefits and risks. We've heard a lot about risks, and I think there's an assumption that we make about benefit. And through this seminar series that we've been convening, trying to find the best available evidence for benefit. So I'm very interested in that, particularly properly done, rigorous randomized control trials, The study from MIT was mentioned. That is a preprint study that has not been peer-reviewed. It's a great study. I love it. I think we need hundreds more like that. But from my point of view, we actually have a dearth of evidence for benefit. And that's a real gap that we need to fix, because all of these technologies come with inherent risks, and it's really great to think about those safeguards, but try and clarify for whom does generative AI make a difference in learning, growth, and development. There's some concepts I think that are very interesting around special needs or English as a second language that can raise. But when it comes to sort of the population at large, I don't think we've seen evidence that show widespread benefit yet, and I look forward to seeing that. Would love to hear more. You can come and present at our speaker series if you have such a study, and we'd be happy to give you a platform. So thank you for convening this group.
Definitely, I think sometimes the assumption is that risks are going to be hard to tackle as a challenge, and that benefits are just going to happen. That if we do it right, then we will reap the benefits. But doing it right is actually really complex. What does it mean for all different type of individuals? And I do believe that we also need to focus a lot on the research of where does it work, how does it work, what do we need to adjust to do this. I want to turn to, I saw that you wanted to talk, Nagla, so I will let you introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Nagla Riz. I am a voice from the Global South. I come from Egypt, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much. I am based at the Access to Knowledge for Development Center at the American University in Cairo, and we run what we established as the Middle East and North Africa Observatory on Responsible AI. So this is precisely what we work on. Our mission is responsible AI for policy, for practice, businesses and people, and AI for people, responsible AI for people. And this is at the heart of what we do. We are very proud signatory to iRAISE. And I'm just going to take quotes from our speakers earlier. Ms. Chapas said, this is the most important work that we can do. I totally hear you. For me, when we work on the future of work, the future of humanity, the future of this planet, and there's nothing more worthwhile to focus on than responsible AI, beneficial AI for children. So thank you all for the great work that you do in this. In my country, more than 40%, almost 40% of the population is less than 18 years of age. And in my region, more than 50% are less than 25 years of age. So there's nothing more pressing than, the most important thing we can do is the future of this. And thank you for the comment about, the minister. I'm not saying it's my country, but, I hear you. So, this is a voice, and thank you for, emphasizing the importance of bringing voices from the global South. And also, I quote Ms. Cecile, who said there's a gap in knowledge. And this is precisely what we are here for. We want to know more. We are hungry for more. We want to understand what uses of AI are happening for our children and for our youth. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you again for inviting me to be part of this conversation, learning from everyone, and I'm very happy to work with everyone around the table. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nagla. And if some are interested, we actually co-authored an op-ed that was today published in Le Monde on specifically education and the challenges facing the global south. Who else? Yes.
Okay, good morning. My name is Beth Amkandaire, and I work for Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. We are not AI, we are farmers. But at the climax of it all, we realize that even as we work with farmers, even as we work with food production, if we don't embrace this space, we'll be left behind. Why I'm saying that is we've seen how AI influences food choices, for example. You find that the younger generation, the way they are choosing their food, the way they are looking forward to interact in the food space is very different from how our policies are planning. So we are planning, we're investing, okay, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to feed the population, and then we are faced with a situation where increasingly every year the choices are very different. So you're investing in one food sector, but what the population wants, especially the younger people, is completely different. You don't grow food in a day, but AI will give you solutions in a day, or you can eat like this. But if a consumer wants that, and you are in the food production space, you need a year to plan to bring to the market what the consumer wants. So for me, the interest is, especially younger people, are very much tuned to selecting their food based on what they are searching, what the social media is saying. Now, how do we marry that world? So I think for me, increasingly is in our research. Of course, it has to be context. Like I come from Africa, so our context would be different from the other parts of the world. The other parts of the world, they have food storage, they have advanced ways of managing themselves, their systems. Our systems are a bit slow. So in all this, it really creates a lot of pressure. Even on the policies, we can't make policies the way we used to make anymore because we have to be very receptive to what the population is looking for. So for me, I think the research space of this should increasingly take into consideration all these dynamics, because when you are doing a search engine, it doesn't care which part of the world you are coming from. It's just the same. So I just wanted to emphasize that as you are working, I think we have to make sure that we are speaking to one another. What are we picking very quickly? How do we adjust all this? Because as humans, we have a slower pace than the AI pace. So I think marrying these two worlds would be very important, because otherwise every year we'll have change in policies, change in approaches, because the population is living in a space that is very fast than the real world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I think it's so interesting to see that it's a global parallel that we can draw with AI and technology, which is really that technology is going fast, but the changes that are happening are slow, and that there is really a need to find a balance between advancing quickly and adopting at a way that is responsible, while really thinking not just of the 1 or 2 years ahead of us, but really like the long-term impact. Maxime?
Thank you very much. First, a disclaimer, I don't talk in the name of my public employer or private company or partner. So just I want to talk as a researcher, because I really been interested in what said Eric Salobir just before, to think about the long run. I don't say that we have to, I don't mean like we have to target some giant tech company. I would talk about us as a human on the long run. Something I've got like a gut feeling, because there is no study about that, but basically I'm an anthropologist. In anthropology, there is some theory of self-domestication of human. That means that we select ourselves by couples, by breeding, making children, and these kind of things. And this idea, it's on the long run, there is a new kind of teleology. That means a new purpose, a new direction, who could be subtly implanted in our humanity by AI. I don't mean bad AI, Skynet, something like that at all. But it's just algorithm who could drive us to, in a way, by nudging us, as you say, Laurence, sometimes about the nudge, slowly nudging us, but not 1 day, not 1 year, but maybe with decades and centuries, and could affect the way we are human. So that's something we have to think about the long run, what we implant in the AI, not just for a single problematic moment now, but on the really long run.
Thank you. I saw that Alban wanted to.
It's working. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alban from Orange. Thank you for putting this topic on the agenda of the Paris Peace Forum. For those of you who don't know Orange, we are part of this coalition. Orange is a global telecommunication operator present in 25 countries, especially in Africa and Middle East and in Egypt. And what we see in all our countries is the need for people to be connected. So this is our job as a telecommunication company. But more and more people will be emotionally engaged with AI and want to remain connected with AI. So we consider that it's part of our responsibility to include this topic on our agenda. And what I would like to advocate here is to continue what we are already doing in coalition. And I see some partners here, Fondation pour l'Enfance, Tralala, or UNICEF, to give instruction for responsible use of smartphones, social networks, and to extend this job to give instruction for responsible use of AI as well. Because if we consider that we deliver some services that might be used by family and by kids, I think it's the onus is on us as a private company to also always accompany this product with instruction for use. So we'll be happy to continue working and collaborate within this coalition, but with all the great partners that we already collaborate with.
And I think it's so important because you are interacting more with the larger public, and we've discussed this, I think, throughout the conversation about the importance of also working with the people who are adopting that technology and helping them understand how to best use it. We have time for one last person. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for having me here. Yeah, just wanted to share something about how technology can be critical in terms of shaping how companies scale the technology. I had the privilege to start 30 years ago at Microsoft, and I've seen a lot of companies scaling technology with responsibility as well, etc., etc. We need more companies. The one message I wanted to bring here is we need companies to help us set up the rules, scale the right practices, because this is how we can basically make people, parents, more aware of what is good about AI and what is not that good about AI. And companies, when they buy or don't buy a solution they scale, they have a huge impact. For example, I see a big dilemma happening between Europe and United States, whether do we need to put some regulation on innovation or not? Is it an R&D question? Is it freedom of deployment question? Those kind of questions, companies need to address that. We can't do it only by ourselves. So I see a lot of great ONG, a great player researcher. My point is we need absolutely companies to spread this and shape the way we want AI to be used for the next generation. Thanks.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Aware of the time, I will try to recap and summarize quickly a lot of what's been said today. I think everyone in this room sees both the opportunities that AI brings for children and also some of the risk. Now the question is, how do we solve that together? I do believe that children's rights is a first key of answer, because when we are thinking about AI alignment in general, we need to start from something that is largely agreed on, and that kind of give us a frame of thinking. So this is where we'll start. I do see as well that we really need to think and focus on human. Our brains are not going to evolve or get updated just because there is a new iteration of AI. We are going to remain largely the same. And so when we talk about optimization, about scaling for speed, I think one of the questions we have to ask is, should we optimize childhood, or should we actually provide children the space to grow, to play, to learn, to experiment? For this, we have to work on different levels. Of course, parents have a role to play. They're the first one with their kids. They're the most motivated individually to make the best decisions for their children. So for that, we need more education. And at the same time, it's much easier for parents to adopt and guide their children when the technology is safe to begin with, when there's proper parental control, when we can really help them evolve in a space that feels safe. And at the same time, innovation is going fast. So we need to work collaboratively together between industry and researchers. Researchers need to also really work faster, work directly with industry. We love as researchers to find a challenge that's really fun. Now we really need to find challenging questions that have direct implication in the next 6 months and not for longer term. And we already know a lot about their development, so we need to think how to really frame that in the long term. And finally, for that, we will need to work on policy. We will need to translate that on very different levels. I believe that we have a chance right now with generative AI to not rise to the bottom, but actually rise to the top, create standards, work together, and that's been so inspiring to see the motivation from companies to work together. I think when it's a larger question, when we're thinking about children, it's not a question of do we want to do it? Is it a voluntary basis? It's a responsibility. We have to offer them the chance to grow in a world that feels safe, that supports them, that push for their nurturing. So for that, we will need to work all together as a coalition. And so I'm so happy when I see this room filled with so many different profiles, with so many points of views that are really enriching the conversation.
I have the honor to close this session. I think a lot of people come to us and say that we are very ambitious, and this iRAISE coalition is very big ambition, and I think it is. And your presence today show that we can make it happen, we can improve, we can advance the critical discussions. And really, like just 18 months ago, when Mathilde published her first research report about the impact on AI on children, cognitive and socio-emotional development, people really didn't see what we were talking about, and now they are. So I think, of course, some bad news helped us to have this topic on top of everybody's head, but also now we are all aware about the opportunities and the risk. And our goal is really to optimize the opportunities, because there is a lot, and in different parts of the world. This is my time for a call to action. If you don't see your logo or your company or your labs in this brochure, you have to connect with me, please. This is an important topic. We need everybody's voice. And thank you. You are here. It shows that you care about this topic, that you want to join this conversation. So we need you to be part of the conversation. We really need every voice, every action to make AI beneficial for children. Thank you.